Chosen one. Heaven stills everything around you in this very moment. The noise, the distractions, the doubts, they are being silenced so you can hear clearly. You are not here by chance. The timing is precise, divinely orchestrated, because your destiny is calling louder than the storm around you. You have walked through nights that seemed endless. You have questioned why your prayers seemed unanswered, why your heart carried weight that others never saw. And yet, here you are still standing. That is not weakness. That is proof. Proof that God's hand has been holding you, even in silence. Proof that your story is not finished. Picture this: a locked gate that has rusted for years, unmoved and unyielding. People have tried to open it and failed. But then, a key, small and golden, slides perfectly into place. With a single turn, the impossible gate swings open. That is what is happening for you now. Heaven is unlocking what once seemed shut forever. There was once a man who carried dreams in his heart for years, but nothing seemed to move. People around him told him to let go, to accept disappointment as normal. But he waited. Even when his waiting hurt, he carried faith like a hidden flame. And in one ordinary moment, God sent divine help. Circumstances shifted, doors swung wide, and the man stepped into the very promise he had almost given up on. That story mirrors yours. You too are carrying something heaven refuses to let die. You are like a torch hidden in the dark. For a long time, it felt as if the flame was too small, as if the shadows were stronger. But that tiny flame carries the power to ignite a whole forest, to spark a movement, to chase away the blackest night. That is why the fight against you has been so fierce, because the enemy fears what will happen when your light burns unhindered. Scripture says in the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verse 10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." These words are not ancient echoes. They are living, breathing promises sent to you right now. God is saying, fear not, because his strength is carrying you. The same hand that flung stars into the heavens is holding your life steady today. Chosen one. Angels have been dispatched. 2 mighty guardians walk beside you. Unseen, yet undeniable. Even as you read this, they are dismantling snares, scattering shadows, and preparing the way forward. You may not feel them, but the atmosphere around you is already shifting. This is your moment to align. Don't just let this word pass you by. Respond in faith, like, share, and comment, not as routine clicks, but as an act of agreement. When you move in faith, you make room for heaven to move greater in you. And subscribe, so that your spirit continues to be fed, strengthened, and reminded that you are not walking alone. Now declare it boldly. Type the number 77, inch the comments. 7 represent divine complétion. And when doubled, it speaks of overflow and angelic covering. By writing it, you are testifying, I choose to walk in completion. I accept heaven's rescue. And the clock of heaven is ticking. You are standing in the center of divine timing. Do not hesitate, because this moment is not ordinary. It is a rescue. Chosen one. 2 angels have been released on your behalf. Not symbolic, not imagined, real heavenly beings, assigned to guard and guide you through the path that lies ahead. Heaven's command has already gone forth, and these messengers of light are moving with swiftness and purpose. Think of it this way: if your life were a battlefield, and truly it is, then you have just received reinforcements. Not soldiers of flesh and blood, but mighty ones who do not tire, who do not stumble, who do not fear. The ground you thought you had to cover alone is now guarded by a presence greater than what your eyes can see. For years, you have been in seasons where the weight felt unbearable, where you wondered, is there really help for me? Heaven's answer is yes. You were never expected to fight every battle in your own strength. At times you felt isolated, but you were never abandoned. In unseen spaces, angels have already lifted blows meant to break you. Picture a traveler walking through a dangerous canyon at night. Rocks above shift and threaten to fall. Hidden predators wait in silence. The traveler thinks he is alone, but unknown to him, two warriors walk at his side, their torches burning, their swords ready. Every hidden danger is struck before it can touch him. That is what your two angels are doing right now, going before you, clearing the path, securing the steps you must take. The story of Daniel holds a mystery here. He prayed and waited 21 days, not realizing that his answer had already been dispatched from heaven. A messenger was delayed by opposition, but reinforcement came, and breakthrough followed. You may feel you are still waiting, still pressing through silence, but angels are already in motion for you. The resistance you feel is proof that something is shifting in the unseen realm, and yet, these angels are not just bodyguards, they are also guides. They whisper direction when confusion tries to reign. They nudge you away from paths that look tempting but end in harm. Sometimes that delay you hated was an angel blocking the road, because what lay ahead would have destroyed you. Sometimes the opportunity you lost was heaven's mercy in disguise. There was once a man who thought he had missed his season. His plans collapsed, and he felt failure closing in. But looking back, he realized that at the very point of collapse, he was redirected. The detour he despised positioned him exactly where his destiny needed him to be. What he thought was rejection was actually angelic redirection. That same principle is at work in you. Heaven is not letting you drift off course. The ancient words recorded in the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 21, declare, "No harm overtakes the righteous, but the wicked have their fill of trouble." This is the assurance heaven wants you to grasp. Angels guard your path so that harm cannot overtake you. Plots may be formed, but they are dismantled before they can touch you. Snares may be laid, but they are shattered before you step into them. The stronghold you need is not made of stone, but of God's living presence sent through his messengers, chosen one. Lean into this truth. You are not fighting alone. Your prayers have summoned movement in the unseen. Your tears have not been wasted. They have watered the ground where your angels now tread. The covering over your life is not fragile, not uncertain. It is strong, unshakable, unstoppable. So walk forward with a lifted head, even in the night, even in the valley, even in the silence. Two angels walk beside you. This is your covering. This is your rescue. Chosen one. Heaven's timing is precise. You are not drifting into this moment by coincidence. You are standing in a narrow window of divine urgency, and the Spirit is whispering clearly, hesitation must end. You have felt the pull before an inner stirring, a knowing that something greater is pressing you forward. Yet doubt, fear, and delay have tried to chain you. This is why the angels were sent, to break what holds you back and to escort you into alignment. Picture yourself standing before a locked door. For years it would not budge. You pushed, you prayed, and nothing moved. But suddenly the key is in your hand. Now the question is not whether the door can open, it is whether you will step through. That is where you stand, right now. There was once a woman who always waited for the perfect moment. She longed for change, but told herself tomorrow would be better. Days turned into years, and her destiny grew dusty on the shelf of her excuses. But the day she declared she would wait no longer, everything shifted. Opportunities found her. Strength filled her, and the path that seemed hidden became clear. Her decision ended the cycle of delay, and yours will too. The Word of God speaks in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Strength is not just given for surviving, it is given for stepping forward. Courage is the weapon that severs the chains of delay. And God's presence, promised here, is the guarantee that when you move, heaven moves with you. So here is your prophetic act. Comment: no more waiting. Endem. These 3 words are not random. They are a declaration that hesitation will not control you anymore. When you type them, you are aligning your spirit with heaven's urgency. You are saying, I choose obedience now, not tomorrow. And if your heart feels led, you may also declare, I step forward, or I choose obedience. Each word spoken in faith carries weight in the unseen realm. Angels respond to faith, and the enemy trembles when you decide delay is over. Chosen one, this is your moment. The bridge is before you. The key is in your hand, and the command of heaven is clear. No more waiting. Chosen one, this moment is not ordinary. When heaven whispers, no more waiting, it is not to pressure you. It is to release you. Release from fear. Release from confusion. Release from the endless loop of postponing what you were born to do. Think of the seed buried in the soil. It could remain hidden for years, waiting for the right season. But the moment rain touches it, life breaks forth. That rain has come upon you today. The soil cannot hold you any longer. Delay is not just a pause, it is a thief. It steals joy. It steals clarity. It steals years. But when you declare, no more waiting, you shut the door on that thief. You invite restoration. What was lost in wasted time can be redeemed in a single act of obedience. Heaven always honors courage. The step you take today, even if it feels small, will echo in eternity. Angels are not sent to those who remain still, they are sent to those who rise. So speak it, believe it, live it, say it once, and let it resound. No more waiting. Your 21 minutes are not a countdown to fear, they are an invitation to freedom. Chosen one, you are not forgotten. Every whispered prayer, every tear shed in silence, every night you wondered if heaven saw you, none of it has been overlooked. Sometimes the silence of God feels like absence, but it is not. It is preparation. You were hidden, not abandoned. Think of a seed deep underground. It is unseen, pressed into the dark soil, waiting for light. To the world above, it looks buried. But in truth, it is planted. Hiddenness is never waste, it is process. You have been in such a season, where your faith has felt buried, where your dreams seemed covered over by the soil of delay. Yet beneath it all, life was forming. Roots were stretching deep, unseen by others, but essential for what comes next. There was once a young shepherd named David. His family overlooked him. His brothers saw him as unimportant. When the prophet came, David wasn't even called into the room. Forgotten by men, yet chosen by God. The oil of anointing that bypassed his brothers poured over his head because heaven never lost sight of him. You too carry that truth. You are seen. Even when others overlook you, picture a letter written with care, sealed with wax, and then placed in a drawer, waiting for the right messenger to deliver it. At first, it seems forgotten, but the seal proves it belongs to someone important. That is you, sealed, waiting for the divine timing of delivery. And when the messenger arrives, nothing can stop what is written from reaching its destination. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 14, verse 16. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. Emsic, what does this mean for you? It means your name is carved into eternity, not penciled in. It cannot be erased. It cannot be overlooked. It cannot be forgotten. The one who holds the stars holds you close enough to etch you into his very hands. And so, the loneliness you have felt, the sense of invisibility you have carried, has been a lie trying to silence your faith. Heaven whispers, you are seen, you are remembered, you are chosen. There was a woman who prayed in a temple year after year. Others mocked her, thinking her prayers were meaningless. But her persistence was not ignored. Heaven marked her cries. And in time, her answer came in the form of a son who would change history. What she thought were wasted years became the very years that prepared her miracle. Your story holds the same thread. What felt like wasted seasons are about to prove their worth. Nothing you endured has been pointless. Nothing you prayed has been ignored. Chosen one, do not mistake hiddenness for abandonment. When heaven hides you, it is because you are precious. Just as a jeweler places a diamond in a case until the right moment, you too have been protected, covered, and kept for a time such as this. The two angels sent for you are not arriving to discover a forgotten soul. They are arriving to announce that the season of being unseen is over. What was hidden will now be revealed. What was overlooked will now be lifted. You are not forgotten. You are engraved, remembered, guarded, and chosen. Chosen one. The rescue mission is already unfolding around you. The two angels assigned to you are not idle. They are moving swiftly, dismantling schemes, cutting through shadows, and making way for your feet to stand on solid ground. What you cannot see is often more real than what your eyes can take in. Right now, heaven is fighting for you. Imagine a battlefield at dawn. Smoke lingers from the night before, and it looks as though the enemy has the upper hand. But as the first light breaks, you realize reinforcements have already arrived. Trumpets sound, banners rise, and the tide of war shifts. That is the spiritual picture of what is happening in your life. Where the night whispered defeat, the morning reveals angelic victory. Many times, you thought the weight would crush you. You felt blows you could not explain. attacks that came out of nowhere. But if you could only see what was held back, what never reached you, you would realize how fiercely you have already been defended. The bruises you carry are proof, not of weakness, but of survival. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 31, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" This truth is echoing in your spirit now. The battle has raged, but heaven has never left you unguarded. Even in the darkest valley, you were protected. Even in the fiercest fire, you were not consumed. The mission of heaven has been clear: to rescue, to redeem, to restore. And here, I must speak plainly. There are moments in life when you are invited to align, not by force, but by choice. Like a traveler offered a seat at a banquet table, no one drags him there. But when he chooses to sit, he feasts. That is what this moment is for you, an invitation. When you choose to share this word, it is like lighting a lantern and placing it in a window, so that another lost traveler can find their way home. When you choose to like, it is as though you are adding another stone to the altar of remembrance, declaring, "Here, Hot met me." And when you subscribe, it is not routine, it is as if you are stepping beneath a flowing waterfall, choosing to remain under the stream of living words that keep your spirit nourished. These are not small gestures, they are acts of alignment. Each choice you make is like a brushstroke on the canvas of your destiny. Heaven never forces the hand, but it places the colors in front of you. Whether you paint with them or leave the canvas blank, that is your decision. So let your response be beautiful, not out of pressure, not out of duty, but as an act of worship, as a symbol that you recognize what heaven is already doing for you. Light the lantern, place the stone, step under the waterfall, choose to like, share, and subscribe as an act of alignment. Chosen one. The rescue mission is underway, and heaven's invitation rests before you. Respond with the beauty of your own free will, and watch as angels continue to make a way where there was no way. And as you step forward, remember, every simple act of faith becomes a ripple that touches eternity. Your obedience now is more than a response. It is a seed. That seed will grow into testimony, into breakthrough, into a legacy that outlives you. Chosen one. There is a mystery in numbers. Heaven often marks moments with symbols that carry more than surface meaning. Just as 7 speaks of completion and 12 of divine order, so now you are being invited into another prophetic sign, one that carries the weight of heaven's timing over your life. The angels sent to you are not passive watchers. They move in rhythm with your faith. Every step you take in obedience echoes in the unseen, and every declaration you make becomes a command for the spiritual realm to align. This is why heaven asks you to respond not only with your heart, but with your words, even with numbers. Think of the walls of Jericho. Israel marched in silence for 6 days, but on the 7th, their unified sound brought the walls crashing down. That act was not logical, it was prophetic. In the same way, the act you are being asked to take now may seem simple, but in the spirit, it carries the force to shatter strongholds. There was once a man who struggled under delay. Everything in his life felt stalled, dreams on pause, prayers unanswered, strength drained. But one night, as he prayed, he felt led to declare his trust in a simple way. He wrote a number on paper, representing his surrender, and placed it on his desk. That night, clarity came. The very next day, opportunities opened. It wasn't the number itself, but his act of faith that unlocked the movement. Heaven responded to his obedience. The prophet Haggai recorded in chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, declares the Lord Almighty, and in this place I will grant peace." Do you hear the promise? Greater glory, greater peace. What is ahead of you surpasses what is behind, and heaven invites you to mark this moment with a prophetic act. Declare your agreement through a number. Chosen one. Type 444 the comments. 4 is the number of stability and foundation. When tripled, it declares that your life is being set on unshakable ground by the hand of God. It is heaven's way of saying, I am building you firm, steady, and enduring. And do not take this lightly. When you write 444, you are not just typing digits, you are proclaiming, I will not be shaken. My foundation is the Lord. My rescue is secure. You are joining your voice with the psalmist, who said, He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. Angels respond to such declarations. Darkness trembles when chosen ones align openly with heaven's voice. Your comment becomes a banner over your life, a testimony etched not only on the screen, but in eternity's record. And if doubt whispers, silence it. Say to yourself, this is not ritual. This is response. Numbers in themselves hold no power. But when heaven marks them and faith attaches to them, they become prophetic signs. Chosen one. Your 444 is a seed of faith, a testimony that you refuse to live shaken, a declaration that you are stepping into the season of greater glory. And as you declare it, the angels already beside you move with greater force, clearing the path, lifting the weight, and ensuring your steps are secured. This is your foundation moment. Stand on it. Declare it. Write it. 444. Chosen one. The enemy's strategies against you have not gone unnoticed. Darkness has studied you, probing for weakness, setting traps in silence. At times, it felt as if the attacks came from every direction, relationships strained, resources drained, peace stolen in the quiet of night. Yet what the enemy planned as a snare is being exposed under heaven's light. Consider the hunter who lays a net in the shadows. Hidden beneath leaves, he waits silently, confident his prey will stumble blindly into the trap. But imagine if a torch was suddenly lit, revealing the net before the prey takes another step. The trap loses its power the moment it is seen. This is what is happening in your life. Heaven is turning on the light. The enemy's nets are being uncovered, and the paths laid for your destruction are being revealed for what they truly are. The schemes were designed not just to discourage you, but to derail you. A delayed calling, a silenced voice, a heart that grows weary. That is what darkness wanted. But you are not falling into those snares. Why? Because God has sent His angels to war for you. And truth is stronger than deception. There was once a man who carried a heavy burden of disappointment. He thought his failures proved the enemy's words were true, that he would never rise, never succeed. But in prayer, his eyes were opened. He realized what he thought was truth was nothing but lies whispered in the dark. That realization itself was freedom. Once he saw the snare, he never stepped into it again. In time, what once held him captive became his testimony of deliverance. Scripture reminds us in the letter of James, chapter 4, verse 7, "Submit yourselves, then, to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Now, the power of exposure is this: once you recognize the scheme, you gain authority over it. Resistance is not a matter of striving, but of standing. To resist is to say, "I will not agree with lies." And when you refuse agreement, the enemy loses ground. Chosen one, your very presence disrupts the enemy's camp. The light you carry exposes shadows. That is why opposition has felt so sharp at times, because you were always dangerous to darkness. The attacks were never proof of weakness, but of worth. Heaven does not guard what has no value. Angels were sent because your calling carries weight. Think of yourself as a lighthouse again. Standing at the edge of a rocky shore, the storms rage, waves crash, and the night deepens. Yet ships find safety because your light refuses to be hidden. The enemy wanted to shatter that light, to silence it. But heaven says no. Your beam will not be extinguished. This season is about clarity. What once felt confusing will soon appear obvious. The snares that once blended into your path will stand out like glaring warning signs. Heaven is training your eyes to see with sharper vision, to discern not just what looks good, but what is truly God. The exposure of the enemy's plots is not meant to frighten you, it is meant to free you. Because when you can see clearly, you can walk confidently. The angels beside you are not only guarding, they are illuminating. Every step forward will be guided by light, not stumbled in shadows. So hold fast. The traps are being uncovered, the lies unmasked, and the path cleared. You are stepping into a season of clarity, where what was meant to entangle, you will instead testify to the victory of God. Chosen one. One of the greatest mercies of heaven is that angelic presence often surrounds you even before you realize it. These guardians are not only fighters in the unseen, they are also gentle witnesses, leaving traces, so you may know you are not walking alone. Their presence is subtle, yet when you pay attention, you begin to see the signs. Think back to moments in your life when sudden peace fell upon you. Even though the storm around you was loud, or when danger was near, but you felt an unexplainable shield over you. Perhaps a delay caused you frustration. Yet later you discovered that very pause spared you from harm. These are not accidents. These are fingerprints of angelic presence. Imagine walking through a vast forest at night. The canopy overhead hides the stars, and the darkness is thick. You wonder which direction to take, uncertain and afraid. Then you notice faint lanterns set along a hidden path placed there before you even arrived. That is what angelic guidance feels like. They go ahead of you, leaving light along the way, so that when you arrive, you discover your steps have already been prepared. There was once a woman who felt invisible in her struggle. She longed for reassurance that heaven had not forgotten her. One night, she awoke at an unusual hour, her heart heavy with questions. As she sat in silence, a verse rose unbidden in her spirit, a passage she hadn't read in years. It spoke directly to her situation, giving her peace so strong it carried her through the weeks ahead. Later, she realized that reminder was no coincidence. It was a messenger's whisper, an angel assigned to comfort her when her heart was about to break. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 7. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. This is not metaphor, it is promise. Encampement means permanence. Angels do not simply pass by and leave. They establish themselves around you like a fortress, surrounding you in moments when you cannot defend yourself. Chosen one. Angelic presence often reveals itself through peace that defies reason. At times it comes as an inner nudge when you're about to step into something harmful. At times it is the sudden strength that rises in you when you thought you had none left. These are more than emotions. They are signals of heaven's nearness. Consider how many near misses you've experienced. The car that braked just in time, the decision you hesitated on that later proved disastrous for others. The friendship that fell away before it could betray you. Behind each of these, there is the quiet work of angels, positioning you away from harm and toward destiny. You are not asked to chase after these signs, but to remain aware. Awareness is honor. When you honor the presence of heaven, your eyes become sharper to notice it again. Like learning the notes of a song, the more you listen, the more familiar the melody becomes. This is what it means to live as a chosen one, not blind to heaven's activity, but awake to it. You begin to walk with confidence, not because the road is easy, but because you know you are never alone on it. Chosen one. Open your eyes. Notice the fingerprints. Recognize the lanterns along your path. The presence you sense is not imagination. It is heaven's proof that you are seen, guarded, and loved beyond measure. Chosen one. Heaven has been speaking to you about the weight of agreement. The two angels sent to guard you are not merely present, they are activated through your yes. Heaven's mission moves with power, but your obedience gives it permission to manifest in your life. Agreement is no small thing. In the unseen world, words are like contracts. When you echo heaven's truth, you sign alignment into being. When you echo the lies of darkness, you give those lies room to grow. That is why your response carries eternal weight. Picture a harp resting silent in a dim room. Its strings are waiting, stretched tight, yet it makes no sound until the musician touches it. The moment fingers press the strings, a melody fills the space. Your voice is that melody. Heaven touch your life. But until you agree, the strings remain silent. Your declaration awakens the song that was always inside you. There was once a man who carried deep doubt. He wanted to believe but feared disappointment. One night, he whispered a simple prayer, just a few words. He expected nothing. Yet, that tiny declaration broke something open. His heart shifted. His mind cleared. Over time, his whole destiny turned. What seemed small in the moment became the spark for everything that followed. The apostle writes in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 2, verse 13, "If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot disown himself." Do you hear this? Even when your faith feels small, God's faithfulness does not waver. Your agreement is not about proving your strength. It is about leaning on His. So here is your step of faith. Comment, anchored in God. These three words are more than a phrase. They are a declaration that you will not be tossed by storms, that your soul is steady in the harbor of His presence. To be anchored is to refuse drifting, to stand unmoved by the winds of fear. Why this matters? When you declare, anchored in God. You are testifying that your stability is not in people, possessions, or circumstances, but in the one who never changes. Your life becomes like a ship tied to an unshakable rock, safe, secure, and immovable. Heaven records your words. Angels strengthen their hold, and the enemy realizes his storms cannot uproot you. Chosen one, this is your melody, your anchor, your stand. Just 3 words. But they tell the whole story, anchored in God. Anchors are not glamorous. They are heavy, often hidden beneath the waves, unseen by those on deck. Yet without them, the ship drifts, tossed endlessly by currents it cannot control. That is why declaring anchored in God matters. It reminds you that even if the world does not see your stability, heaven knows you are secured. To be anchored does not mean storms will not come. Winds will still howl. Waves will still crash. But when your anchor is in Him, the storm cannot carry you where you do not belong. You remain tethered to safety. Many live like sails, beautiful when the wind is gentle, but helpless when chaos rises. Chosen one, you are called to be more than a sail. You are called to be anchored, rooted, steadfast. So when you speak these words, you are not reciting empty syllables. You are aligning your life with the eternal rock, declaring that drifting is over and destiny is secure. Chosen one, the word of God has declared it from ages past. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. That verse, carved into the scroll of Isaiah, is not poetry, it is covenant. It tells you that no scheme, no whisper of darkness, no arrow in the night will succeed against the one heaven has marked as chosen. Think for a moment about how weapons are made. A blacksmith bends metal with fire, hammering it until it sharpens into something meant to pierce. The enemy has been hammering against your life in the same way, trying to form words, fears, and circumstances into weapons that could wound you. But what Isaiah revealed is this: even if the weapon is formed, it cannot succeed. The hammering may echo around you, but the strike cannot destroy you. There was once a young believer who thought his trials meant God had abandoned him. Everywhere he turned, resistance rose up. People questioned his worth. Opportunities slipped away. But as time passed, he began to see the pattern. What the enemy meant for destruction became the very soil where his endurance grew. He realized that even the blows that landed could not break him. They only revealed the steel of faith inside him. Chosen one, you are like a clay jar placed in the kiln. The fire may roar, but its purpose is not your destruction. It is your strengthening. When you emerge, you will be solid, unbreakable, fit to carry the treasure of heaven. Picture also a violin in the hands of a master musician. The strings are stretched tight, almost to breaking. Yet it is that very tension that produces the melody. The strain you have felt is not for nothing. It is the setup for a song the world needs to hear. Or think of a tree rooted deep beside a river. Storms lash against it. Branches break. Leaves scatter. But the roots hold. In time, new leaves sprout. Branches grow stronger, and the tree bears fruit again. That is your story. What is rooted in God cannot be toppled by storms. The Apostle Paul writes in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 8, "We are hard pressed, on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. This is the paradox of the chosen life. Pressure surrounds you, yet you endure. Weapons are formed, yet they fail. Resistance rises, yet you advance. And through it all, heaven's purpose remains steady. Now listen carefully. Your agreement here matters, and your response, though simple, can become a testimony. When you choose to like this word, you are pressing your seal into the scroll, saying, "Yes, I receive this truth." When you share, it is as though you are handing a torch to someone walking in darkness, letting your light guide them home. And when you subscribe, it is as if you are planting yourself beside a river, ensuring your roots stay nourished season after season. None of these acts are forced. They are invitations. A lantern cannot force someone to follow its glow, but it shines nonetheless. A tree cannot compel someone to eat its fruit, but it offers freely. In the same way, your response is a beautiful choice, a voluntary act of alignment with the light of heaven. Chosen one, let your agreement today be gentle yet powerful, like the violin that turns tension into melody, like the tree that grows stronger after the storm, like the torch that shows the way your decision to align is not duty, but beauty. Like, share, and subscribe, not because you must, but because your spirit longs to remain in the flow of what heaven is pouring out. The weapons may be formed, but they will not prosper. And your response today is another sign. You are not only protected, but firmly aligned with the God who calls you chosen one. There is a difference between delay and destiny. Delay feels like standing at a locked gate, pacing back and forth, wondering if it will ever open. Destiny, on the other hand, is the assurance that when the right key arrives, no force on earth or in hell can keep the gate shut. What you have endured has not been denial, it has been delay. And even delay bows to the timing of God. Think of Joseph. He dreamed as a boy, yet his path bent through betrayal, slavery, and prison. Years passed with no sign of fulfillment. To the natural eye, it seemed as though the dream was a cruel illusion. But when the appointed moment came, destiny pulled Joseph from the shadows of a prison cell into the throne room of Pharaoh in a single day. Delay ended instantly because destiny had arrived. You too have lived in long corridors of waiting. You have prayed and seen little movement, invested and reaped little return. And doubt has whispered, maybe the promise was never real. But heaven answers differently. The silence has been shaping you. The waiting has been refining you. What you thought was wasted time has been the ground where unseen roots grew. Picture an arrow in the hand of an archer. The longer it is pulled back, the greater the force when it is released. Delay feels like being pulled further and further, stretching almost beyond what you can bear. Yet that tension is storing power. When release comes, it will not be small, it will be swift, sharp, and unstoppable. The ancient words recorded in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3 declare, "For the vision awaits an appointed time, it speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." This verse is a mirror for your heart. The vision is not dead. It lingers, but it is alive. And heaven says with certainty, it will come. There was once a woman who spent years preparing for something that never seemed to arrive. She studied, Worked, prayed, built, yet doors stayed closed. Friends moved on. Opportunities passed by. And she wondered if she had misheard heaven. But in one season, everything shifted at once. The doors that had resisted for years swung open within weeks. What she realized later was this: if those doors had opened earlier, she would not have been ready to carry the weight. The delay was not punishment, it was preparation. Chosen one. This is why hesitation in the face of destiny is dangerous. Delay, you cannot control, but hesitation is your choice. When destiny knocks, hesitation keeps the door closed. Heaven has been patient, but the time is now for you to align without wavering. Think again of the difference. Delay comes from outside forces, timing, opposition, the stretching of your faith. Hesitation comes from within fear, doubt, second-guessing. Delay will pass when the appointed moment arrives, but hesitation can cause you to miss what you were meant to carry. The angels sent to you are not just rescuers, they are also timekeepers. They are ensuring you do not miss the appointed hour. They have been guarding your steps, blocking paths that lead to destruction, and now they are urging you forward into alignment. The season of waiting has not been in vain. Destiny has not forgotten you, and hesitation has no place in your heart anymore. The appointed time is here, and heaven is pulling you into the fulfillment of what was promised. Chosen one. There are moments when heaven asks you not only to hear, but to respond. This is one of those moments. The angels sent for your rescue are already moving, yet the Spirit calls you to mark this moment with a prophetic sign, not as superstition, not as ritual, but as testimony that you agree with heaven's movement. Think of Elijah on Mount Carmel. The fire of God was ready to fall, but the altar had to be rebuilt first. Stones had to be placed. Water had to be poured. And then the fire came. The fire was always available, but the preparation made room for it. In the same way, your response is the stone you place on the altar today. Picture a river that has been dammed up. Water pressing behind the barrier. One small crack. One shift. And suddenly, the flood is released. That is what your act of faith becomes, a crack in the wall that lets the waters of heaven rush into your life. There was once a woman who carried shame from her past. She believed her failures disqualified her, that grace could not cover her anymore. But one day she dared to make a public declaration of faith, even though her voice trembled. That one act changed her entire course. Her shame gave way to boldness, and she walked into freedom. The grace was always available. It was her response that unlocked it, according to what is revealed in the book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 3. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. Chosen one. This is the word for you. The Lord's appearing is certain, just as certain as the rising of the sun, but there is an invitation here. Press on. Acknowledge him. Align with what he is already doing. So here is your prophetic step. Comment 880, 8-inch, the space below. 8 is the number of new beginnings. When tripled, it declares wave after wave of renewal, a season where what was old breaks off and what is fresh and divine begins. By writing 888, you are saying, I step into new beginnings. I leave behind what was broken. I embrace the fresh move of God. It is not a number on a screen. It is your signature on heaven's promise that a new chapter is opening. Why does this matter? Because alignment is power. When you declare 888, you are not just agreeing with words, you are agreeing with the author of your destiny. You are testifying that the pages ahead are not defined by failure, but by grace, renewal, and fresh anointing. Do not underestimate it. 3 digits may seem simple, but in the spirit, they are thunder. They echo forward into your future, declaring, new beginnings are here. New doors are open. New freedom has arrived. Chosen one. Let this be your banner, 888. A seal of renewal, a testimony of fresh beginnings, a sign that the old has passed and the new has come. And remember this, new beginnings rarely arrive with fanfare. They often enter quietly, like dawn breaking after a long night. You may not see the fullness all at once, but step by step, the light grows. Every small choice becomes part of this 888. Each act of faith is another sunrise, another door opening. Heaven is not only resetting your path, it is rewriting your future with grace. So declare it boldly. Stand in it fully. Let 888 echo in your spirit as the sound of resurrection, restoration, and release. Chosen one. What you carry is not small. It is not fragile, nor is it ordinary. Heaven has placed within you a measure of fire, and that fire is not meant to stay hidden. It was given so that darkness would tremble, so that atmospheres would shift when you enter the room. This is why opposition has been so fierce, because what you carry is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Imagine a single candle in a cavern. At first, it seems insignificant, surrounded by thick shadows, yet as it flickers, the darkness retreats. Light does not argue with the night, it simply shines, and the night cannot withstand it. That is the truth about you. Even when you feel small, even when your flame seems weak, you carry something that cannot be overcome. There was once a young believer who thought she had nothing to offer. Surrounded by people with greater talent and louder voices, she stayed silent, afraid her contribution would not matter. But one day, she prayed with trembling words for a friend who was struggling. That friend later testified that her prayer shifted everything, bringing peace where there had been turmoil. In that moment, she realized, even a whisper carries fire when it is born of heaven. Chosen one. This is why you are called to rise. Not for fame, not for applause, but because the fire within you is needed in a world that has grown cold. When others despair, your presence brings hope. When confusion reigns, your clarity becomes light. When fear spreads, your courage ignites courage in others. The ancient words written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 29, declare, "For our God is a consuming fire." No, this fire is not destructive without purpose. It is refining, purifying, empowering. And because you belong to Him, that fire is alive in you. It burns away the fear, the shame, the hesitation, until only boldness and clarity remain. Picture a blacksmith's forge. Metal is placed in the fire, hammered again and again, until it becomes a weapon, sharp and strong. In the same way, your trials have not been meaningless. They have been the hammer and flame that shaped you into a vessel of power. Every hardship you endured has added to the strength of your flame. Chosen one, there will be moments when you feel weary, when you question whether the fire is still there. But remember, fire does not depend on your feelings. It is not sustained by your emotions, but by the Spirit who dwells within you, even when you feel empty. The flame does not die. Think of yourself as a lighthouse on a stormy coast. Ships tossed by the sea look for direction, and though the wind howls and the waves pound against you, the light you carry is what guides them to safety. That is your role in this season, not to escape the storm, but to stand in it, shining so others find their way. Chosen one, heaven trusts you with this fire. The angels walking with you guard not only your steps, but also the flame within you. And as you continue forward, that fire will not diminish, it will spread, lighting torches in the lives of others, until a whole generation burns with the light of God. And this fire will mark you forever unstoppable, unshakable. A living testimony that chosen ones never walk in darkness. Chosen one, there is a crown prepared for you. Not a crown made of metal or decorated with fading jewels, but one forged in eternity, woven with glory that does not tarnish. This crown is not the reward of the world, it is the recognition of heaven. The path you have walked has been costly. You have endured seasons of being overlooked, misunderstood, and resisted. You have carried burdens others never saw, choosing faith even when it felt lonely. Every tear, every prayer, every act of obedience has not disappeared into silence. They have been stored like treasures, and the crown bears witness to them all. Picture an athlete training in secret. Long before the crowd ever cheers, he sweats in silence, pushing through exhaustion and pain. No one applauds the early mornings or the sacrifices, but the crown he receives is proof that none of it was wasted. In the same way, heaven has seen your unseen endurance, and the crown prepared for you is proof of your perseverance. There was once a woman who worked tirelessly for her family and her community. Few noticed her sacrifices, and even fewer thanked her. She often wondered if her life mattered beyond the small circle she served. But near the end of her days, someone she had quietly helped came to her and said, "You changed my life when I was at my lowest." In that moment, she realized the invisible crown she had been wearing all along. So too, the unseen faithfulness of your life is already glowing in the spiritual realm. The Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing." All. This verse reminds you that crowns are not only for the extraordinary few, but for all who endure, all who keep their eyes fixed on the one who calls them chosen one. Your crown is not a decoration, it is a sign of your identity. Crowns are worn by rulers, by heirs, by those entrusted with authority. That means heaven sees you not as a wanderer, but as an heir, not as forgotten, but as marked for inheritance. Picture again the blacksmith forging a golden circlet. It must pass through fire, beaten into shape, polished until it shines. The process is long, and at times the metal looks ruined, but the craftsman never loses sight of what it will become. You are that crown in the making. The fire you have endured has not destroyed you, it has shaped you into glory. And yet, The crown is not only about endurance, but also about testimony. When others see it, they will know the faithfulness of God. Your crown will tell the story of battles fought and victories won, of tears sown and harvests reaped, of nights endured and mornings of joy that followed. Chosen one. Never forget, crowns are not handed out in the beginning, they are revealed at the end. Your journey has not been wasted, and every step brings you closer to the moment when heaven itself will place upon you the crown of righteousness. Until that day, walk with the quiet confidence of one already marked, for though you may not yet feel its weight on your head, the crown is real, secure, and waiting for you. Chosen one. There comes a moment when the call is no longer private, but public. You were never chosen to remain hidden forever. The fire within you, the crown awaiting you, the angels standing guard, all of it points to one truth. Your light is meant to be seen. But here is the challenge. Stepping into visibility feels costly. It feels like standing on a stage before a crowd. Vulnerable. Unsure who will cheer and who will mock. And yet, this is the beauty of obedience. To rise publicly is not about seeking applause, it is about shining the light entrusted to you, so that others may find their way. Picture a lantern in the window of a small cottage on a stormy night. A traveler, cold and lost, sees it from afar. That small glow tells him, you are not alone. There is shelter. There is warmth. There is hope. To place your light in the window is an act of compassion. It may feel small, but it may save someone's life. There was once a young believer who struggled with shame. She kept her faith quiet, worried about what others might say. But one day she decided to share her story of how God rescued her in a season of despair. She did not expect much, but her words reached someone else in the very same darkness. That person later said, "Your story saved me." From that day forward, she realized that stepping out was never about her reputation, it was about rescue. The Apostle Paul writes in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 8, "Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky, as you hold firmly to the word of life." This is your calling, to shine, not for recognition, but because the night is real and your light is needed. And so, I invite you into a beautiful act of alignment. When you choose to like this message, it is like lighting that lantern in your window, saying, "Let my light be seen." When you share, it is like sending a message in a bottle across the sea, carrying hope to a shore you may never visit, but where someone desperately waits. And when you subscribe, it is like planting a tree in fertile ground, choosing to remain rooted where streams of living water can continue to nourish your spirit. But there is more. To comment is to carve your initials into a stone of remembrance. Imagine a pilgrim walking along a sacred trail. He pauses at a landmark and leaves a mark, saying, "I was here. God met me here." Your comment becomes that same witness proof that you stood in this moment and said yes to heaven's call. None of this is about duty. It is about beauty. It is about choosing, freely and fully, to let your light stand where others can see. You are not forced. You are invited. And the act of responding becomes worship, an offering laid gently at the feet of the one who chose you first. So, rise, light the lantern, send the bottle, plant the tree, carve the stone, like, share, comment, and subscribe not because you must, but because you long to live as one whose light cannot be hidden, chosen one. This is your moment to step out publicly, marked not by fear, but by fire. And as you do, others will rise, guided by the glow you courageously chose to release. Chosen one. The angels that walk beside you are not only protecting your present, they are preparing your future. Every step you take forward is covered by hands unseen, and the road ahead, though hidden to your natural eyes, is already cleared in the spirit. Imagine traveling through a dense forest. The path is overgrown. Branches tangle across your way. Thorns threaten to cut at every step. Yet before you arrive, someone has gone ahead, cutting branches, removing stones, leaving markers so you do not lose your way. That is what your angels are doing now. They go before you, clearing the way, ensuring you do not stumble. There was once a man who thought his life was a series of coincidences. Opportunities opened just in time. Dangers were narrowly avoided. And unexpected provision arrived when he had nothing left. But as he grew in faith, he began to see the truth. These were not coincidences, but signs of divine order. Heaven had gone before him, making crooked places straight. Looking back, he realized the steps he thought were random had been carefully prepared. The Apostle Paul writes in the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 15, "I will go before you, and will level the mountains. I will break down gates of bronze, and cut through bars of iron." This is not poetic comfort. It is a declaration of strategy. God himself sends his messengers to dismantle barriers before they ever reach you. The mountains you feared, the gates you thought would never open, are already falling under heaven's hand. Chosen one. Pause and consider the snares you never even saw, the accidents that didn't happen, the betrayals that were blocked before they reached your ears, the opportunities that opened before you, knew to ask for them. These are the fingerprints of angels going before you, ensuring you walk a path of destiny instead of destruction. Think of the Israelites in the wilderness. A pillar of cloud went before them by day, and a pillar of fire by night. They did not wander blindly, they were led. You too are being led, not by cloud or flame, but by the Spirit and by angels assigned to guard your journey. Your task is not to fear the unknown, but to trust the one who has already entered it. You may feel uncertain about the next chapter, but uncertainty does not mean danger. It means faith is required, and faith is what activates the guidance already in motion for you. Picture yourself as a traveler at night. Lantern in hand. The lantern only shows a few steps ahead, but that is enough, because the path is already secure. Further on, angels are stationed ahead of you, like watchmen at gates, ensuring no snare catches you unaware. Chosen one. This is why you can walk with peace, not because the road is easy, but because it is prepared. The messengers of God are dismantling what would have stopped you, and the one who sent them has promised to finish the work he began in you. So take the next step with courage. The forest has been cleared. The gates have been broken. The mountains are being leveled. And though your eyes may not see it all, the angels assigned to you walk ahead, ensuring your destiny remains untouched by the schemes of darkness. Even in silence, they labor. Even in shadows, they guard. And even in unseen hours, they prepare victories you will soon walk into with wonder and gratitude. Chosen one. Everything has led to this threshold. The 21 minutes given to you were never symbolic, only they were a call to awaken. To recognize that heaven has placed you in a decisive moment. The two angels sent for your rescue have not come in vain. They stand as living proof that the Almighty has marked your steps and sealed your future. It is easy to think of time as endless, to believe that windows will always reopen, that chances will always return. But eternity does not measure time as you do. There are moments heaven calls appointed, moments that cannot be reclaimed once they pass. You are standing in such a moment now. Imagine standing on the edge of a great sea at night. Behind you, the land is dark, filled with memories of disappointment and struggle. Before you, the horizon begins to glow with the first faint shimmer of dawn. The tide is rising, and a boat waits, anchored and ready. The question is not whether the boat will sail, it will. The question is whether you will step onto it before it departs. There was once a man who ignored such moments. He felt the stirring in his heart, sensed the urgency, but told himself there would be another time. Yet years passed, and he carried regret for doors never walked through. When finally he dared to respond, the path was harder, longer, and more painful than it had needed to be. Grace still carried him, but he often whispered, "I wish I had moved when heaven first called." His story is not to condemn, but to remind, timing matters. The prophet Jeremiah wrote in chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." And if this is the heartbeat of heaven for you, the future is not bleak. It is blessed. The path is not ruin. It is redemption. And the angels sent to you now are the escorts of that very hope, guiding you from what has been into what is to come. Chosen one. Destiny is not a vague idea, it is a door. It opens, but only for a season. And when heaven says the time is now, the greatest danger is not opposition, but hesitation. Delay can rob more than the fiercest attack. Think of the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 were ready, lamps filled with oil, and they entered the feast. The others delayed, distracted, unprepared, and the door closed. The story is not about exclusion, but about readiness. Oil represents faith. Readiness represents response. And the message is simple. Some doors do not stay open forever. The angels beside you now are like heralds standing at the entrance, calling you forward. They have cleared the path, dismantled snares, lifted burdens, and now they wait, urging you to step across the threshold. This is the final moment of your 21 minutes, a choice, to remain in the familiar or to step into the unknown, to stay in the wilderness or to cross into promise, to hold back in fear or to trust the hand that holds your future. Chosen one. The threshold is before you. Heaven's plans are secure. The angels are ready. The door is open. What you do with this moment will echo in eternity. Chosen one. We have walked together through every section of this message, step by step, vision by vision, moment by moment. From the release of angels to the unveiling of your destiny, the truth has been clear. You are not ordinary. You are marked. You are chosen. And the time heaven has given you is not to be wasted. This is not just a script or a message. It is a mirror of your life. The valleys you endured, The battles you fought, the waiting seasons you survived, all of them have led to this point. The crown is prepared. The fire within you is alive. The angels walk beside you, and the door of destiny stands open. And now, the invitation extends to you. When you like this message, it is as if you are placing your stone of remembrance on the altar, saying, "Here, God spoke to me." When you share, you become a torchbearer, carrying light into another person's night, giving them a chance to see what you now see. When you subscribe, you are planting yourself by the river of continual reminders, choosing not to drift, but to remain rooted in truth. And your comment, let it not be casual. Write something that seals this moment for you. It may be a single word of faith, or a short phrase that echoes what is stirring in your heart. Let it become your signature of alignment, your testimony etched not only on a screen, but in eternity's record. Chosen one, your rescue has begun. Your future is secured. The angels are already on assignment. Now lift your lantern high, like, share, comment, and subscribe, not as duty, but as beauty, as your free response to the God who has chosen you for such a time as this. So let this be your final act. Press like, share, comment, and subscribe, as though you are striking the great bell of destiny, letting its sound echo into eternity.